And welcome back to another edition of Coach's Show. Week 3 wrap-up going into Week 4 as all Columbus high schools got victories on the gridiron Friday night. Joining us as always for our first segment is head coach Craig Williams with the Discoverers. Coach, how are you doing tonight?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on again.
All right, well, 2 wins in a row for the Discoverers. Not only a win, but a shutout going to Grand Island and taking on Northwest. 18-0 was the final score. Take a look at the highlights, but obviously you got to be pleased by your team's defensive performance, but also the fact that you got another win.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting that W is the first thing that you got to hang your hat on. But the defense did a tremendous job, and really all night, Grand Island Northwest could not run the football on us. We went in, and knowing they could throw the football a little bit, they ended up with 250 yards passing, but it took them 54 attempts to get there. So when you look at that as a stat perspective, that's under 5 yards per pass and attempt, and that's going to win you football games when you can do things like that.
Well, Cook goes for 146 yards, and that was only on 13 attempts. But we talked a lot about him last week. You guys had 7 different players catch the ball, counting running backs out of the backfield. How do you feel about this year's stable of receivers? Esh obviously leading that game with 3 receptions for 35 yards.
Yeah, and Esh is technically a running back, so we hit him coming off the slot position out of the backfield. I think 3 of our wide receivers caught balls, a tight end, and both of our tailbacks. So we hit 6 and 7 guys again out of the in different pass routes. So, I think everybody's very unselfish. We're not looking to get the ball to anyone in particular. We're looking to take what the defense is going to give us. And in this football game, we felt like the weak side flats was a place that we could really attack with some bootleg stuff and just getting the ball and running out there. And it worked a couple times. I know Michael Cook ended up with 140 yards rushing also because he had one long run in there that pushed his numbers up.
Well, Coach, it kind of seems like it's a habit anymore, Cook eclipsing 100 yards on the ground, and also the same for Wolf. What does that do for opposing defenses with this offense that has the weapons under center as well as the one you're handing the ball off to?
Yeah, it really puts some pressure on the defense to have to prepare in different ways. They have to, when you have to account for the quarterback, it takes away a couple things that you would like to do on defense. And Michael, he's not the most powerful runner. But he's shifty in a sneaky way. He doesn't look like he's all that quick, but guys just have a hard time, squaring him up. And when he gets out in the open field, he can run. And he's getting more and more confident as a passer as well. And so you add those things together. You throw Wolf in there, and Alcott had a nice game as well. He had 10 carries for 48 yards in this football game also. But you throw those 3 things in there, and it's a nice they're nice complements to each other.
Well, you guys are facing up against Norris this week as we look at some of these highlights here, and you saw one of those big Cook runs there. But Norris lost to Gretna in week 1, but then they come back to beat Plattsmouth 41-21 and Seward 35-0. I mean, those are just solid offensive numbers as far as scoring. How's the intensity been like for defense on the defense side of the ball here at practice this week?
Well, our defense knows it's going to get tested, and we pride ourselves, we have all year on being the more physical team. I think in all 3 games we have been the more physical team, and I'm telling you that's going to be tested this week because Norris comes in and they are very, very physical on both sides of the football. They're monsters up front on the offensive line, going 295, 295, 300, and 295 across the front. And all those guys standing between 6'2" and 6'5". So, the defensive side of the ball, the run defense has been what we've been very, very good at. And, it's going to be a challenge for us this week to keep those numbers where we've been the last few weeks.
And of course, you're going to build off this shutout performance where your defense gave up no points. Was this an expected result against GI Northwest, 18-0?
Well, I don't think you ever expect to go out and pitch a shutout, but we knew that we could slow them down in the run game. We knew we were just going to have to try to keep them in front of us in the pass game. We were fortunate that we had a pick in the end zone there towards the end of the game, and we forced another turnover on a fumble. But that's been another thing that we've been very opportunistic on the defensive side. We've been winning the turnover battles in football games, and it's been showing on the scoreboard.
When we talk about those big boys up front, they're obviously playing on the defensive side of the ball too. How do you feel about the intensity of the offensive line and kind of where they're at with the plays as far as it's a lot of technique when it comes to the offensive line and making sure you're getting in the right position? Do you feel like they're prepared coming into this game?
Yeah, absolutely. We started on Monday morning when we were watching our film. We said the 3 things that we have to focus on this week are overall effort, and our pad level, and we've been working all week on dropping that pad level and getting that thing down, and we got to drive off the football, and we do those things, and we'll be outstanding this week, and our kids are confident with it, and with those kids standing as tall as they are, and we're going to be underneath them a little bit. We're already underneath their pads. We just got to make sure we get as low as we can and drive as hard as we can.
Well, of course, because of that big line, they're one of the top teams in Class B, Norris. What else do you expect to see? Obviously, they have those big boys to run behind, but is it a quarterback? Is he a dual threat running type guy, and the running back as well? I guess, what's the sort of scouting report besides that big line? Yeah,
they're going to come at us offensively with 2 tights and a Maryland I, so they're going to have a fullback and actually 2 fullbacks in there and a tailback. And, the fullback is a lead blocker for them most of the time. I mean, they'll sneak the ball in there to him. But the other 2 guys are both averaging over 100 yards a game. They're outstanding kids. The middle guy there is a powerful runner, and the tailback, when he gets out in the open, just good night, because you're not going to catch him. He's outstanding, and the quarterback does a very adequate job of running the bootleg stuff and throwing the ball. I think they've only thrown the ball about 14 times all year, so it's not a big part of their game. But he does an adequate job with it, and to be honest with you, everybody's so geared up to stop the run that those kids are usually wide open when they run the bootleg.
Well, when you talk about facing an offense like the Maryland I, that obviously is going to require a lot of effort out of your linebackers, and a lot of, when you're facing those fullbacks, you got to be dedicated. You got to play the right gaps. You can't fall out of position. How do the linebackers look this week in practice?
They've been good, but you got to attribute some of that to the defensive line, because we've told those guys you got to keep those big linemen off of our linebackers long enough for them to make those reads. Yeah. And so in practice, it's tough to simulate that size. So it's probably looked a little better in practice than what it's going to on Friday night. I think that's the case in every high school practice. But they've bought into it, into what we're trying to do this week, and they understand what they have to do. Now it's just a matter of going out and getting it done on Friday night.
All right, Coach, just over a minute left. You got that double overtime victory against Bennington. You said you hoped that would sort of start the snowball effect, and you're well on your way, 2 wins in a row. How's the team feeling? Obviously, momentum is going in the Discoverers' side right now.
Yeah, we've had a very good week of practice, and, we were talking earlier that the cool weather's helped with that, the rain. They like to get out and slip and slide in the mud, but we're going to be tested this week, and I think this is really going to be a measuring stick for us and to see how we stack up against one of in my opinion, one of the top 5 teams in the state.
All right, well, take us in the locker room quickly. What are you telling them before the game, going out on the field? Obviously need to be physical, but what's the pump-up speech?
Play physical, play low, and play hard the whole game.
All right, Coach, appreciate you stopping in. Grant, any final thoughts?
Well, I'm just excited for you guys to play again, see if you guys can get on a roll here. Norris is obviously going to be a big test for you guys. If you can get over this hump, do you buy pizza for the team on the way back, or for the way home, back to the locker room, or what?
I think those guys, after the games, they're usually tired enough. They just want to go get a shower and relax somewhere. So.
Well, it goes without saying, wishing the Discoverers the best of luck on week number 4 as you're taking on Norris.
All right, thank you guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Well, Columbus going to take on Norris, looking to improve to 3-1. That wraps up the first segment here on Coach's Show, but do not go anywhere. We'll be back with head coach for the Lakeview Vikings in Kurt Frenzen, and also wrapping it up with Tyler Linder and the Scotus Shamrocks. You are watching the Coach's Show live on News Channel Nebraska.
Hi, I'm Dee Hansen. I'm the Marketing Director, and we would like to introduce you to Bank of the Valley.
Community-minded, family-centered, measurable relationships. When it comes to your business, agriculture, and personal banking needs, trust Bank of the Valley.
We're obviously a locally owned bank, but we're also a bank that's very involved.
The most important thing is when you walk in the front door, everybody knows your first name. We are small town banking with all the modern conveniences.
Bank of the Valley in Bellwood, David City, Platte Center, Columbus, and their new location in Humphrey.
And welcome back to the second segment of Coach's Show here on News Channel Nebraska, live with head coach Kurt Frenzen. Grant Otten alongside me. Coach, how are you feeling stopping back in, getting to hang out with us cool guys?
Well, it's a great opportunity to come back again, once again, talk about our kids and talk about our big victory over Fort Calhoun. We came out and played a really complete game. We were able to get the homecoming win last week.
Let's jump right in. A contest you never trailed from, but Fort Calhoun came in undefeated into your house, and you guys took care of business as we take a look at some highlights.
Yeah, they played really hard. You know, they were a team that played with really great effort. They actually returned the opening kickoff down to like our 10-yard line or whatever it was, and our defense came out and got a huge stop and forced a field goal attempt. Lucas Thatcher did a great job there breaking up the pass. Nice sophomore player for us, and we held them to a field goal attempt, which they ended up not making. Jacob Frenzen had a nice night for us rushing the football. I think he ended up with right around 130 yards or so and did a nice job for us. In the first half, he came out and really did a nice job setting up his blocks just like he did there and got down the sideline for some good chunks of real estate. You know, I was just really pleased how tough he ran. Cage Jansen got us on the board first with a field goal for us. That was a big field goal to break that scoring. And then we were able to just, you know, kind of chip away offensively, and we were able to complement our defense. You know, I felt our defense did a really good job all night long, rallying to the football and getting stops, and then our offense was able to get down the field. That was a big dump pass that we threw to Dylan Sprunk. Jaden Johnson did a great job throwing the football and a big catch. And we continued to get turnovers from Fort Calhoun in red zone, which was huge. They would seem to get down there in our area, but then our defense would either make a big play, a big sack, a big tackle for a loss, or get a turnover. You know, again, Nick Dolezal with another big play for us defensively. And here's another one where Connor Werdeman got a good push, and we were able to get some tackles and stop him short of the end zone once again. And then, you know, we just continued to do that during the course of the evening. And, you know, anytime that you can get stops down your red zone, that's big because, you know, they had opportunities to score, but to stop them like we did with our backs against the wall and plays like that out of Connor Werdeman, we were able to knock the ball away. And our offense did just enough throughout the course of the night where we were able to get some first downs. We had a couple third and longs on our last scoring drive we were able to convert on, and Jaden Johnson did a great job extending plays, and this is just one of the moments where he did that the other night. He's got shiftiness definitely to him. And then we were able to set up Dakota Prorock with a nice jet run late in the third quarter, I believe. And that was a big score for us, and we got some momentum going there again, and up 17-0 at that point in time. We felt really good about where we were at, and you know, they kind of got to be one-dimensional then. They had a nice attack running the football with their zone scheme, but then once we were able to get that 17-point lead, get that extra score on the board, I felt like they were depending on the pass a lot more. So Coach Bargan, I think, turned the dogs loose a little bit more, and we were able to get some pressure on the quarterback. You know, you watch film, you'll see Zach Cobbs a lot of times with three guys around him. He drew a lot of triple teams that night. We played some odd front stuff so we could get some more coverage guys, and he drew a lot of attention when we got in that front. But, you know, I was just pleased overall with how our kids came out and executed from start to finish. Fort Calhoun's a good football team. They played extremely hard. Their effort was at a high level. And we didn't win the game because of a lack of their effort on their part or a lack of talent. We won the game because our effort was where it needed to be. And the scoring rounded up there for us with a big safety. Dylan Sprunk and I think Zach Cobbs had combined to get that safety. And that put the game pretty much out of reach. They were able to get a scoring drive going late in the game, and I think they scored with about 2 seconds left to get the game to the final score, which was 19-7.
Homecoming also always a special night for the kids, a little bit more excitement. You know, I remember back when I played, I'm sure you guys as well, there's a little bit more of an atmosphere, excitement in the air. And Cole Tessendorf, one of your own, coming home with the crown there. But again, one of the people that are the sections that doesn't get talked about much is that line, and they've been developing pretty good for you guys. And Tessendorf, kind of a staple of that group.
Yeah, Connor Werdeman and Cole Tessendorf are 3-year starters now, and both have done an outstanding job for us. They're first and foremost very intelligent players. You know, you can pretty much just get them going the right direction. They'll take care of everything else. They could probably coach the O-line if I absolutely needed to have them do that this year. And then Nolan Vierguts has stepped in at center, did a great job. And then a 2-year starter, Caleb Franzen, is one that has really come in his own. He started in our program as a linebacker and fullback. Now he's playing O-line and D-line, and he's just done a great job in both those positions. Alex Vakes has had a tremendous year. You talk about effort guys. He's one that definitely is an effort guy, and he goes 100 miles an hour in practice and in games, and we couldn't be more pleased with where he's gotten as well. But yeah, Cole Tessendorf with a big homecoming victory. He got that. And then Ryan Luters was a homecoming queen. She's actually a football trainer for us. So football team took home some crowns that night, and that was great to see. And congratulations to both of them.
Well, Coach, how are you feeling 3 games into the season? I know preseason question marks, a lot of new faces, but you're sitting at 2-1 heading into week 4. How's that feeling for you and your players?
Well, we're happy with that, but definitely not satisfied. We've got a lot of work to do, and that's the thing. We've got a high ceiling yet left for this team, and I think it's a group that has a lot left to achieve. We're really excited about where we're at as far as the effort level. I think above and beyond anything else, our effort's been good throughout the season. So if that can continue, and then we can continue to grow fundamentally and get our techniques down and job responsibilities, I think, again, you'll see this team improve each and every week.
Dakota Prorock, you kind of mentioned him. You saw him in the highlights a little bit ago, 2 interceptions and a rushing touchdown. How big of an impact is he having on the field?
Well, he's one of our faster guys on our team, and team-wise, we have decent speed, but he's the guy that definitely helps our team speed out, both offensively, defensively, and special teams. So we need him, and we need him to step up in the secondary, which he did and got a couple turnovers. I was really pleased with how he defended the other night. But again, offensively, we're going to try and get him some touches when he can. He's done a great job running our jet sweep for us this year. We'll continue to try and do that with him as well. But, you want your seniors to step up and play at that level, and he did that the other night and was a big reason for our victory.
Well, Coach, undefeated a foe for the 2nd week in a row. You have 3-0 O'Neill coming up this Friday. What's the scouting report on the Eagles after they're coming off a nice win over Boone Central?
Well, O'Neill had a great deal coming back from their playoff team that they had last year, and I know their quarterback had got nicked up towards the end of last year, and I think he was out for the last few games. And they have him back, and he's a tall, lanky kid that can throw and run. The thing is, they're very good in basketball. They're very good in football right now. They're very good in wrestling. Their football team is made up of, those basketball athletes. It's also made up of those, wrestler-type guys that are strong, hard-nosed guys that are going to be your fullbacks and linebackers. So they kind of have it all bases covered. They're not an overly big team. They're going to be around your 200 to 220 in the line, and they're going to be, running back wise in that 180 to 190. But I wouldn't say they're overly big or overly fast, but they're just athletic. And the thing about them is they play extremely hard. You can tell they care a lot about each other, and they have a pretty good team unity just by the way they take the field and how they play the game when you watch them on film.
Well, when you look at Lakeview this year, and I think when people look from the outside, you guys are right there, right on the cusp of being the top tier in the class. You guys have beaten some opponents that are pretty solid. And talking about this win over Fort Calhoun, someone you guys played earlier, Norfolk Catholic, you guys just had a lot of mistakes in that kind of game, and this is another really good opponent in O'Neill. How do you think the guys are doing mentally to kind of prepare for this one?
Well, we're going to have to not make the same mistakes we made a couple weeks ago. If we can come into the game like we did 1 and 3, and in those games where we're playing pretty solid football in all 3 phases, we can win the game. It's just going to be a matter of us making sure that we take care of our job responsibilities. If we can mix the great effort that we've had over the first 3 games and then continue to build on what we've done with our fundamentals, like I said before, I think we got a great shot going up there. But we told our team it's not going to be easy. They're not going to just lay down for us. They definitely have high aspirations of being in the thick of things at the end of the year. We do as well. This game has big-time playoff implications here already in week 3, and we've made our kids aware of that. If we want to make the playoffs, we want to do some special things this year. These are the type of games we're going to have to win, and going 3-1 into district play would be huge. And that would improve our chances greatly of making the postseason. So, it's not quite a playoff game just yet, but it sure has that feel.
All right, Coach. Well, our time has come to an end, but it always goes without saying. Wishing you guys the best of luck. Hopefully the Vikings 3-1 after Friday.
That would be great. We'd love the opportunity to come back next week and talk about going into district, a 3-1 team. I know our kids are going to get on the bus and ready to go, and it's just a matter of us getting up there, taking care of what we can take care of, what we can control, and if we can do that, good things are going to happen for us.
All right, well, stay with us on Coach's Show. We will be seeing head coach Tyler Linder with the Shamrocks in the next segment. At Home 360, they invite you to experience the difference by thinking outside the box when it comes to every aspect of flooring your home.
Home 360 will help you transform your home with a huge selection of the area's most popular products and a design team that stays on top of the latest trends and the most classic finishes. Give Home 360 a call today. Home 360 located at 2409 14th Street in downtown Columbus. If you can dream it, we can do it.
And welcome back to Coach's Show for our final segment with head coach Tyler Linder of the Scotus Shamrocks. Didn't decide to bring in the blazer this week. He has the pullover instead. What's with that, Coach?
You know, I just figured we'd go a little bit more casual this week.
Looks good.
It's a casual Wednesday. The Shamrocks feeling quite well. 39-26 victors over Pierce on homecoming, sitting at 2-1, and a big match on the horizon this Friday. We'll jump into that rivalry match, but first, let's rehash that contest against the Blue Jays. Very good performance, specifically by that freshman quarterback Tyler Palmer, accounted for 6 touchdowns.
Yeah, Tyler's you know, coming into his own as our starting quarterback. Again, he is a you know, there is no such thing as a true freshman in high school football, but freshman nonetheless. And so he's doing a great job, you know, as our signal caller, you know, underneath the center. And so we're very pleased with his you know, with his productivity, especially, you know, hauling in 6 touchdowns last Friday.
When you look at his production, 7 for 9, 209 yards, 15 rush yards on top of that, and his first 3 passes are for touchdowns. So that's exciting for a quarterback, period. But did you see this kind of potential coming into the season? Is this something you expected out of a freshman quarterback?
No, to answer that as frankly as I can. You know, you never expect a freshman to score that many points, especially, you know, in his 3rd start. But, you know, Tyler's a unique guy. He's a very talented athlete, you know, all around. You know, we knew that, you know, after his 8th grade year and even coming into his freshman year. But a lot of that is just a nod to the guys that are around him. You know, there's 10 other guys on the field at any given time, and you know, he can't complete those passes unless there's a line up front blocking for him, and there's receivers, you know, doing their job and running routes. And you know, a couple of those actually ended up being scrambles where he kind of had to, you know, reverse the field a little bit, and it was you know, very great awareness by his receiving corps to kind of reroute themselves and find, you know, open windows, and Tyler, you know, to his credit, found open passing lanes. So, you know, when you know, if you would have told me that, you know, we'd have you know, 200 and some yards of passing in a Pierce game, I would have called you crazy. But that's exactly what happened last week.
And we saw a little bit of it against Bishop Neumann. Evan Shohan got a few carries in that contest, but he got quite a bit more against the Blue Jays, and that turned out pretty well as well for you.
Yeah, you know, Evan started out the season playing tight end primarily for us on the offensive side of the ball, and after a few injuries and seeing that we needed you know, a little bit more of a physical running back, you know, instead of necessarily a shiftier type of guy, we kind of gave him the nod and moved him back there. And you know, against Bishop Neumann, he had a couple, you know, really nice carries, but you know, last week we moved him there almost exclusively, and he ended up, you know, with about 127 yards on the ground for us. And so he's a dynamic player as well. You know, he's kind of our rough and tough runner, and so we're excited to have him in that position, and he's really coming into his own as well.
Dalton Taylor, 4 catches for 98 yards, and then you already mentioned Shohan, 127 yards on 17 carries. Are those numbers, obviously you mentioned passing, that's a lot higher than you expect, 200 plus yards at any time you guys get on the field, especially against a team like Pierce, but are those numbers for those guys that you can see being more consistent as you move forward here?
Yeah, you know, every team's going to have their playmakers, you know, and the good thing is we don't just have one that we have to consistently go to. You know, you have a 6'6" guy in Dalton Taylor that can catch the rock. You know, you've got a 6'4", 210 running back in Evan Shohan. You know, Matt Strecker is a dynamic fullback, and giving him a spill every now and again is Zach Byerman. You know, you got Luke Jarecki, who's a talented running back, as well as Chase Newman and Anthony Cush. So we have weapons kind of all over the place, and that's kind of been our, you know, kind of the feather in our cap the last few years, is we can distribute the ball really well. And the moment that you start keying on one guy, we've got other options. And so if we want to have the success that we want to have going down the stretch, we have to continue to distribute that ball and keep teams honest in all aspects. You know, it really helps that we can stress teams vertically with, you know, Dalton Taylor and, you know, Tate Van Cannon having a great grab last week. And so, you know, our play action passing game is a lot stronger this year than I think it has been in years past. And so that's really going to open up, you know, the running lanes for Shohan, Jarecki, Newman, and company. So really excited about, how lots of guys are getting in the mix, and that also keeps, our players happy. That we're very diverse. It keeps kids invested, and they know if they want to get the ball, that they have to do their job on every single play, not just when their number's called.
Well, Coach, your players are going to have to do your job every play this Friday. Number 3, Shamrocks. Number 4, Aquinas. It's no secret you guys are the big Catholic rivals in the area, and you're the defending C1 champs. They're the defending C2. They're also in C1 now. So doesn't take much to ask you, but what's going through your mind, what's going through the players' mind as you have this big one coming up this Friday?
We're just excited. Anytime that you see Scotus, Aquinas, it's a big deal. Our kids have been locked in. They've been focused. We've had a great week of practice so far. We're only 2 practices in. Monday's a traditional walkthrough for us, but it was one of the greatest walkthroughs that we've been a part of, at least since I've been here at Scotus. Kids were locked in. We were flying around, having a lot of fun, and it was a little bit damp yesterday on Tuesday, and so we were able to go inside into an indoor practice facility and really take advantage of the time that we have with our players, and it was an opportunity to get kids healthy. This time of year, you got allergies and those sorts of things. So it's been a really, really good week getting kids, back on their feet, and we're just extremely excited to take on a talented Aquinas team, and it's going to be a battle, But if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best, and so we're really excited to play with a talented Aquinas team.
Well, when you talk about your playmakers, Aquinas has some of their own. Napier, one of those guys, 167 yards on the ground. They had 405 total yards against GICC last week. What are you guys doing defensively to kind of game plan for their offense?
Our defense, we run that 33 stack, very similar to what they run. We're a little bit more aggressive, I would say, with our defense than they are, but we just have to be very disciplined. Again, they run almost the exact same offense that we do, and they rely heavily on distributing the ball as well. And so, we're not going to be able to key on one guy like Napier. We're going to have to lock in on every single one of their guys. They've got some very talented running backs. Their quarterback's a sophomore, but he would arguably probably be their best running back, had he not been under center. So he's a dynamic, athlete and very, very scary in the run game as well. So we've got to be disciplined. We've got to do our job, play gap solid defense, and ultimately just set our offense up, in a successful situation by winning field position. And so that's going to be extremely huge. You can always look at 2 areas of stats at the end of every Aquinas and Scotus game, and those 2 areas will tell you who wins it, and that's field position and time of possession. And so those are 2 areas that we've been focusing on a lot this week, and we're going to scratch and claw our way to win it.
All right, Coach, we're getting close to wrapping this one up. Take me to the Scotus locker room. How do you fire these guys up? Do you watch a Remember the Titans movie? Do you do a Disney movie? Do you do something for Aquinas week that gets you guys ready to go, or do you need to do anything because it is Aquinas week?
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head there. You don't have to do anything. It is a huge game. Our kids understand it. It's an opportunity to go against a great team, and we also have a great team. So there's a lot on the line here. Not just, we're not in the same district, so district championships aren't in play, but, a win here gives you a boost in power points, and it sets you up, for future success in the playoffs and seeding that way. So, we don't have to say much, and our kids are excited, but I say it all the time, and it sounds cliche and kind of like coaches speak, but we're really business as usual. We're gonna prepare for every single opponent like we're playing for a state championship every single week, and our guys have really bought into that mindset. And so excited to take on the Monarchs this week, and really excited to get down to David City and hopefully come home with a win.
Well, obviously exciting. Last year you guys came away with a big victory. Talk about the intensity, I guess, for you guys, and maybe the pressure as you come from both being state champions last year and then coming into this game. And then it's just a battle royale when you talk about what's on the line coming in here.
Yeah, it's a big game. We're only going to be in week 4, but it's already going to be a playoff type of atmosphere. I know that there's going to be 2 different television stations covering it. There's one, you guys being one. There's a couple of radio stations coming in, and so there's a lot of buzz around this game. But really, I guess the pressure comes from knowing that every single play is important, right? you're a part of so many different games where you can make a mistake or two and still feel confident coming out, but every single snap, every single possession, when that clock is ticking, is vital to the outcome of the game. So our kids have got to be locked in, not just when the play is coming their way or when we call their number, but at all times. And so, what I've seen so far this week has given me a lot of trust and a lot of hope. So, excited to see what our boys can do on Friday.
One thing is for certain, we're going to have a good one on Friday night. The Shamrocks #3, Aquinas #4 is going to be broadcast live on News Channel Nebraska, ColumbusNewsTeam.com. Kickoff is at 7 p.m. Coach, good luck. We're looking forward to another big one.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys. We're looking forward to it, too.
All right, well, we will catch you next week on the Coach's Corner, live at 7 p.m. on Wednesdays. It also re-airs on Thursdays and Fridays at 6:30 a.m., 12:30 p.m., and 4:30 p.m. as well, so be sure to tune in. I'm Brandon Axman. He's Grant Otten. He's head coach Tyler Linder. We'll catch you next week.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks a lot, guys.